All right, that's how it's gonna work. You guys are gonna stay up forward. I'll hit the buzzer when I'm next to the pot, and then you just come out and throw the hook. And then I'll hold it up against it until you get the pot in the rack and you'll ditch it over, then you'll go hide again.
Just minutes ago, a deadly accident shattered the lives of the Deadliest Catch fishermen. They cast their nets into the dangerous northern waters, unaware that tragedy was lurking just beneath the surface. One wrong move and everything fell apart. An anchor cable slipping, chaos on deck, and waves crashing like a merciless enemy. Tune in to witness the heart-stopping moments that push these fishermen to their limits. And let us tell you, the sea isn't done with them yet. Surviving the world's deadliest job. The captain pulls off an insane haul of crabs. They cast their nets farther north than ever before, which, by the way, isn't as exciting as it sounds when your life is hanging by a thread the entire time. And just as they're celebrating their catch of maybe 200, 300 crabs, bam, the sonar starts beeping. And trust me, it's not one of those cute, I got a text kind of beeps. This was more like the sea saying, hey, you guys might want to think about making a will. The crew exchanges nervous glances as the sonar keeps beeping. Something massive is lurking below. The captain's on edge, yelling out to keep the anchor cable tight or else they'll lose it. And we're not just talking about the cable here, but maybe their sanity too.
This cancer, I don't know what this is, the side effect or what, but I blew a blood vessel in my left eye. And why? Beyond me. But all I know is...
They're in the middle of a storm, of course, because why not, right? The sea's raging, and he's trying to figure out which way the cable's moving while not falling to pieces himself. Meanwhile, a deckhand almost takes an unexpected swim. Fun times. The highlight? They manage to free the anchor without anyone losing a limb. Hooray! But just when they think it's time to head back to port, another ship decides to come dangerously close. Perfect. Because what's better after surviving a storm than almost smashing into another vessel? The other ship's captain is yelling, but it's the ocean. No one's hearing anything but chaos. The captain tries to play it cool, giving orders to keep everyone safe, but honestly, the situation's a mess. One ship nearly crashes, then they get weird vibrations in the boat, and he's just hoping they didn't hit something that's about to end them all. Eventually, another ship's captain calls over the intercom, upset because he thinks their crew might have, nearly eliminated them. A nice chat between captains, right? It ends with no apologies, just a good luck vibe, because that's what you really need out here. Over on the Saga, things aren't any better. The crew's battling the freezing nighttime weather, and the captain's shouting at deckhand Jacob to stay alert. A huge wave nearly takes him out. It's the kind of thing that, if it happened on land, you'd be writing a workplace safety report. But here, Jacob just gets soaked and they carry on.
My brother had this harebrained scheme to go west of St. Paul, burn $30,000 worth of fuel in the process, to go haul nothing.
The captain's left wondering if they should even keep fishing. Spoiler again, they decide not to because those waves. Like Bruce Lee himself took a swing at the boat. Now, while the captain is calling it a night, the crew of the Summer Bay isn't so lucky. One guy falls overboard. Casualty count almost rises, but Captain Wild Bill decides they're going to keep on fishing anyway. Nothing like almost losing a man to boost morale, right? And just to make things even more fun, Bill orders them to set traps deeper, because the fish are worth it apparently. Wild Bill's crew keeps pushing, and soon enough, they're celebrating a big haul. But of course, things take a turn because this isn't some feel-good Disney movie. A guy falls overboard, then they haul him back in, and everyone's just glad he's not dead. No time for a party though, because the next guy in line twists his ankle, likely the result of playing chicken with waves and heavy equipment. Captain Bill calls him the heart of the team, which is great and all, but the reality is they're down another guy, and everyone's wondering how they're going to make it through the rest of the season. As if that wasn't enough drama, two captains, Wild Bill and Harley, get into a minor collision while docked. Harley tries to blame the wind for his clumsy ship handling. Classic excuse. But even the crew knows he's just bad at this. Bill watches from his boat, not trusting Harley for a second, thinking he might need a crash bag, basically a giant bumper for when your fellow captain decides to play bumper boats. Eventually, Bill gets his team moving, figuring Harley should probably just avoid sailing if he can't even dock right. Things go from lighthearted family video call vibes to distress call to the Coast Guard real quick. The Ocean Challenger's in trouble, and the Coast Guard's racing to help 20 minutes away. Keith cuts his call short, and the day spirals into chaos. They're fighting to keep things afloat, literally. At one point, a deckhand gets caught between a crab pot and a hydraulic table. Nearly crushed, but lucky for them, he manages to get out. Keith yelling for everyone to be careful, while another crew member, Roger, is dealing with some mystery pain, and things keep going downhill from there. Back on the Cornelia Marie, it's the second week of fall, and the crew's racing to meet their crab quotas. Just as things seem tough but manageable, Taylor gets his finger caught in a coil. Captain Josh has seen enough of these injuries to know it's going to slow everyone down, and the storm's not helping either. Captain Casey ends up playing medic, trying to remove some damaged tissue. Just another day on the boat. Taylor's tough, doesn't want to be a burden. But let's be real, he's out of commission for a while. The storm's picking up, options are limited, and everyone's stretched thin. No one signed up for this expecting a safe 9 to 5, but some days at sea really make you question if any paycheck is worth it. From guys almost getting crushed, falling overboard, getting tangled in machinery, or narrowly avoiding collisions, it's all in a day's work. The fishermen out here don't have the luxury of, let's try that again tomorrow. For them, it's now or never, sink or swim, and all those other things that sound dramatic but are painfully true when you're hundreds of miles from shore. Jake and the crew face a tough decision, whether the risk is worth it. A fisherman's gamble. The captain, struggling to keep his crew motivated, decides that they have to take a calculated risk. The weather forecast predicts that the storm will get even worse, but there's a small window of opportunity, a gap that could allow them to make another big haul before the sea turns completely hostile. It's one of those moments where he has to balance ambition with caution, and there's nothing simple about it. The crew is battered, exhausted, and in low spirits, but they agree to give it one more shot. After all, the stakes are high, and this isn't just about crabs. It's about paying bills, feeding families, and making the trip worth it. The crew braces themselves, heading back into rougher waters. Waves slam against the boat, rocking it side to side. The captain gives orders, his voice barely audible over the sound of the storm and the creaking vessel. The deckhands are on edge, holding on to anything stable, their eyes constantly scanning for the next wave that might send them sprawling. They start dropping traps, moving as fast as they can, while trying not to make any mistakes. It's a coordinated chaos. Each person knows what they need to do, but the environment is unforgiving, and one slip could mean disaster. Hours pass and the traps are finally set. The crew is soaked to the bone, their muscles aching from the relentless work. They wait, watching the clock, hoping that the sea shows them some mercy. The boat sways violently, and at times it feels like it's going to tip, but they hang on. When it's time to pull up the traps, the tension is thick. The first pot comes up, empty, a collective groan. The next one, a few crabs, but not nearly enough.
This is gonna make or break us right now, because
we guarantee to catch double our quota.
way too much rides on this, kind of don't even want to watch.
The crew members exchange weary glances. They need a big catch. They need a win. The third pot, finally it's loaded. It's full to the brim, and for a moment the exhaustion fades away. There are cheers, high fives, and smiles that break through the tension. Jake takes a deep breath, feeling a moment of relief, but it's fleeting. The storm's getting worse, and he knows they need to head back. Now. He shouts out the order, and the crew scrambles to secure everything. The sea is relentless, and the boat is struggling to cut through the waves. As they navigate back, there's another scare. A massive wave approaches, bigger than anything they've seen all day. The captain yells at the crew to brace for impact. The wave crashes over the deck, and for a moment, everything is chaos. Water pours over the side, knocking a couple of the deckhands off their feet. They scramble to get up, grabbing onto anything they can to steady themselves. Wild Bill, meanwhile, is dealing with his own set of problems. He's out in deep waters and his crew is tired. The man who twisted his ankle is trying to push through the pain, but it's clear he's not at full capacity. Bill has to make a decision. Send the guy below deck to rest, which would leave them short-handed, or keep him working, risking further injury. He decides to pull him off the deck, knowing that pushing too hard could end up making things worse in the long run. It's a tough call, but safety has to come first, even if it means the rest of the crew has to work twice as hard. The deckhands are hauling in traps, and the weather's getting worse. The waves are taller, the wind is stronger, and every movement is a struggle. The traps are heavy, loaded with crabs, and each one takes a monumental effort to pull up. Wild Bill is shouting encouragement from the wheelhouse, trying to keep everyone focused. He knows the risks, they all do, but this is what they signed up for.
We're gonna get out just in time to hit the pass, but there's gonna be huge rollers at the pass, where the only time we can get in is high water slack. It's bad. We'll see, even then we might still not be able to get in.
The pots are coming up, one after another, and despite the conditions, they're making progress. Over on the Wizard, Captain Harley is having a day of his own. After the minor collision with Wild Bill, tensions are high. Harley's trying to prove himself to show that he's not just some guy who can't handle his boat. He's pushing his crew hard, maybe a little too hard. They're in rough seas and Harley's determined to hit a big score. The crew is exhausted and there's a sense that maybe they're pushing their luck. The boat lurches as a wave hits and one of the deckhands loses his balance, falling hard onto the deck. He's winded, but gets back up, shaking it off. Harley shouts at him to be more careful, but the frustration is clear in his voice. They pull up another trap, and it's a good one, full of crabs. Harley lets out a whoop, but it's clear that the crew is running on fumes. Captain Keith, on the other hand, is trying to keep his crew together after the distress call from the Ocean Challenger. The Coast Guard managed to reach the boat in time, but the scare has everyone rattled. They're back out at sea, but the mood is tense. Keith is focused, his eyes scanning the horizon, his hands steady on the wheel. He knows that the sea doesn't give second chances, and after what happened, he's not taking any risks. The crew is working, but there's an unease that wasn't there before. Every noise, every shift of the boat makes them jumpy. Keith knows they need to get their confidence back, but it's easier said than done. The sea is unpredictable, and that's the challenge they all face. It's not just about skill or experience, it's about respect. Respect for the power of the ocean, for the dangers that are always there, just beneath the surface.
Guys, lucky, because if it would have been just a little bit different and we hit him right with the stem, we may have sliced right through them.
Each of these captains knows that, and each of them is trying to lead their crew through the chaos, to keep them safe while also making a living. It's a delicate balance, one that can tip at any moment. Before he was dodging death on the high seas, Jake actually had dreams of shredding skate parks as a pro skateboarder. Sounds kind of exciting, right? Well, until life decided to throw a wrench in the mix. One bad injury, and there went the skateboarding dream. And in came the spiraling struggles. Addiction, homelessness, the works. Let's just say Jake got a pretty close look at rock bottom before deciding to trade his wheels for waves. Enter the Bering Sea. With the storm behind them, Jake reflects on his past struggles away from the sea. The relentless seas. In 2007, Jake signed on as a greenhorn with the FV Northwestern. He had Captain Sig Hansen barking orders, and as we know, Sig's not exactly Mr. Rogers. Jake's first appearance on Deadliest Catch aired on May 15th, 2007, in an episode bluntly titled New Beginnings. I guess fresh meat would have worked too. Anyway, Jake scraped his way up the ranks. By 2012, he'd clawed his way to deck boss and then got his captain's licenses, mate 1600 ton and master 100 ton, if that means anything to anyone. Eventually, Jake landed the big gig as a captain. The ship finally went up for sale in 2023, ending Jake's stressful chapter at the Sega's helm. Can't say it was all sunshine and roses, more like rust and screaming into the wind. But did Jake quit? Absolutely not. He went and bought the FV Titan Explorer, and just like that, the adventures continued. Or maybe adventures is too romantic a word when talking about braving Bering sea storms and being a hair's breadth away from disaster every other day. But hey, it was a fresh start for Jake. A new boat, new problems, and the same old dangerous obsession with hauling crabs out of the freezing depths. And Jake's new boat, the Titan Explorer? It had its own share of mechanical failures. Turns out, no matter what boat you're on, the Bering Sea is going to throw wrenches, sometimes literally into the works.
And now I gotta act like an adult.
I've looked up to Sig as a mentor, a captain, a father, since I was 25. But that's not the only reason why I'm here. Mandy offered me 10% stake in the business, and I'll take whatever troll I can get. But I'm telling you right now, I'm here to hunt reds.
But Jake's got that stubborn streak, and his leadership, despite all the setbacks, was the thing that kept his crew hanging on when times got tough. Jake Anderson's journey has been about taking hits and somehow standing back up again. From his skateboarding dreams that got smashed, to losing loved ones, to struggling with his demons, and then going head-to-head with the sea, he's seen it all. The guy's not perfect, far from it, but that's what makes his story relatable. His life has been gritty, messy, and more like a crash course in survival than anything else. And yet, here he is, back on the deck, ready to stare down death one more time. Deadliest Catch likes to show us the most dangerous job on TV, and Jake's life has been no exception. If anything, his story is a pretty good reminder that for some, survival isn't just a season on TV, it's a daily reality. And as long as there's a boat and a sea full of crabs, Jake will probably be out there, battered, beaten, but still kicking. Jake Anderson's career on the high seas wasn't all about crabs and near-death experiences, though. Behind every episode and each year of crab fishing lies a deeper story of what it's like to face the world when every card seems stacked against you. Let's not forget that this man's life has been painted with loss. Losing his sister Chelsea was like a wound that didn't heal. Her death wasn't expected. Pneumonia complications took her far too soon, and it was one of those things that leaves you reeling. Jake never really had the time or space to grieve properly. He was out there on the boat, dealing with the dangers of the Bering Sea while carrying the weight of losing someone so close. If that wasn't enough, just a year later, his father Keith Anderson went missing. The uncertainty that comes with someone vanishing without a trace is something most of us couldn't begin to comprehend.
Sig's gonna love me now. So we did it.
Hey, Yarlo, we did it, dude.
That's 7,097 crab.
There's no closure, no way to understand what's happened. For Jake, it meant long weeks and months of wondering, hoping, and fearing the worst. And then after all the waiting, they found his father, but not alive. That kind of heartbreak can crush a person, and it almost crushed Jake. But here's where his grit showed itself. He had every reason to give up, but he didn't. Jake took that grief and kept on going. It's easy to look at a show like Deadliest Catch and only see the adrenaline, the waves, and the dangerous moments where it's man against nature. But behind all that, there are men like Jake who have lived through personal hell and still find the courage to head back out to sea. That's the kind of spirit that's woven into every minute of the show. These guys aren't just fighting the ocean, they're fighting everything that's happened to them, every weight that's tried to drag them down. Being a captain isn't just about knowing the ropes or being able to navigate through a storm. It's about leading a crew when you're barely holding yourself together. The FV saga was Jake's first taste of real captaincy, and it was far from smooth sailing. The boat itself was a challenge, old, prone to breaking down, and always in need of fixing. Jake had to learn how to keep the ship from falling apart, while also earning the respect of his crew. That's not something you do overnight, especially when you're also trying to prove to yourself that you deserve to be where you are. Do you think Jake has what it takes to truly conquer the seas, or is the burden too heavy? Let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.